When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Welcome, 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 and I hope you have a happy Halloween, or at least that's what's coming up. As we are here to celebrate the greatness of Halloween as we near the season. There won't be a vlogcast next week, but vlogcasts take so much time and effort, it's just something that you're just not going to see it, you know? But of course, sit back, relax with your favorite beverage, listen to us in the car, listen to us while you're walking the dog, taking a crap, I don't know, whatever you want to do. But we're here with another vlogcast.
Indeed.
So I'm here with Kotobuki Jake, and we're going to catch up on what we've watched and what we're watching. So I guess we'll start with what are you continuing on with? What are you working on in the process of?
Well, I started a couple of projects. I remembered out of the blue that I had more access than I realized to Hulu and decided to utilize it. So I have watched the first 2 episodes of Sword Art Online 2, the Gun Gale Online arc. I don't know, it's not the highest rated arc, but I am morbidly curious about the current series, Alicization. I'd like to get caught up. I did enjoy the first series enough to see more of it, and the first 2 episodes are pretty good. And much more notably and much more interestingly, I've started reading Stephen King's It. And
good novel.
I am enjoying it so far. I think it's pretty good so far. I'm about, I think, a little shy of 300 pages in, so I'm like a fifth of the way through. It's a long-ass book. But
most of his books are like 1,000 pages or close to it.
I think it's 1160, or at least this printing is. Long-ass book.
A good book, though.
And then today I started something brand new. It's a sort of a palate cleanser, if you will. I started the Marvel Comics series Patsy Walker, a.k.a. Hellcat. It's pretty fun so far. I'm enjoying it. So that'll be something to look forward to. As far as ongoing, I read an additional volume today of Blue Exorcist, the manga Blue Exorcist, and I have watched additional episodes of CSI, A Lull in the Sea, Friends, and last night, for the first time in like 3 weeks, I picked up 30 Rock and watched an episode. And this episode bears comment. And it was called Klaus and Greta. And in light of the whole Me Too thing, the irony of this episode was, oh my God, the irony. You know, and some people like to say, you know, you're probably using irony wrong. They'll probably be right. I don't give a damn. Anyway, this is the episode. If you've seen any 30 Rock, you know that Tracy Morgan's character, is not an enlightened person when it comes to women. Not in the least. But in this episode, he and the wife are in a better place than they've been in the whole series, and they've decided to try and have a kid. They already have a couple, you know, to have another one. And in his own inimitable Tracy Jordan way, Tracy is convinced it's going to be a girl. And with some well-timed help from Liz, he names her Virginia.
Wow.
And then happens to meet a very cute and scantily clad woman who introduces herself as Virginia. And he goes, wait a minute. he's like, I've got a little daughter who's going to be born whose name is Virginia. Wait a minute, are you someone's daughter too? And then she's like, yeah, and he's like, does that mean all women are someone's daughter? It's like his mind is blown by the concept. And theoretically, it turns him into a better... I don't know. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But anyway, the irony here is guess who the guest stars of this particular episode are? James Franco and Matt Lauer.
Oh, that makes sense.
That's like they couldn't have planned it. I did like the Franco story arc. He gets into a fake relationship with Jenna because he's a little perturbed that all the tabloids are saying that he's in love with his body pillow, who he calls Kimiko-tan. And he is, but he doesn't want to admit it. So, yeah, it was an interesting episode, but I was watching it going, well, this took on a whole new meaning. Yeah. But anyway,
Was that everything that you...
well, those are the ongoing and just started ones.
Wow.
I will make also, if you've been watching the series, the channel, I will mention again that last week I went to some awesome concerts. And I already mentioned before, but Mavis Staples, Lula Reinhardt, Daniel Stelter, Ross Michael and the Sons of Negus, Claire Lynch, Vishton, all pretty cool.
Yeah, some pretty good stuff. You went to that folk festival.
Yep. And everything else is pretty much watched or just finished. So if you want to hold those until you do your ongoing, then go for it.
Well, my stuff on is what I've been watching and catching up on. Of course, I have started Silent Hill 3. I've been playing, of course, still the... what was that darn thing? I didn't write it down. It was a trick-or-treat game, which I'll remember probably after the episode's done. It's a cute little game. I mentioned it last time, I think, where you're playing as these kids, Costume Quest. And I've been trying every year to beat this. I've never beaten it. I'm close this year, though. I am close. It's on this very computer that we're recording. Unfortunately, when I lost the Xbox 360, I lost Costume Quest because it is not over to the 360, so I just have the PC port. But it's a fun little RPG. I'm starting Lore Season 2, which is a fun series. More on that later. Also, the Netflix series, The Haunting of Hill House. We've only watched 2 episodes, but my goodness, they are very intense. I have been enjoying them. They have a lot of take-homes from The Haunting, from several types of horror series. It is worth a watch if you've got Netflix. I've also started Pet Shop of Horrors. It's only 4 episodes. I've just watched the first episode, but my goodness, it's disturbing. And the last is starting My Girlfriend is a Show Bitch.
Okay.
And, well, that series is something. Not safe for work.
Really?
And it was, I saw it on Prime, and I had nothing else to watch, so I started watching it. And I'm working on it, and when I get to the end of it, I will probably talk about it more. One of the things, when we're moving on to the watched and completed stuff, I figured this is one that we both share.
We have a couple there.
Which, the Halloween movie.
Yes.
I'd already covered Trick or Treat in the last vlogcast.
Trick or Treat, and I think we mentioned Pumpkinhead before from your part.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You watched that also during that time period?
Yep.
Okay. So, well, we get the 2 that we've covered, and then I'll go into the additional there, then you can take the mic for another one, and we'll back and forth as per usual. But yeah, we both got out to the theater last week to see Halloween on the debut weekend. And I really liked it. I really did enjoy it. I think that I think that taking out some angles and changing it around, I don't know. I think they could have done just as well making it a continuation. But the things that they did do with the Survivor Girl, the original Survivor Girl,
Lori.
was really good. They made her a badass, and having a fight between her and him, actually holding each other's ground, it was just something to watch.
It was a little bit well, we're going into spoiler territory if we go too far into it.
Yeah, we don't want to go too bad.
Yeah.
Too up there.
But the one part that I keep mentioning to people, the film actually had a lot of humor, which at times was a little bit off-putting because you'd be set up with this great humor and then go, I don't want them to die, you know. That's kind of, unfortunately, par for the course sometimes with those kind of things. But it was kind of in some ways a little bit like When They Cry, where you have those abrupt tonal shifts, you know?
Yeah.
But they handled it pretty well for the most part. And, of course, one of the reasons, Danny McBride co-wrote the screenplay. And Danny McBride's a pretty funny dude. So he had a good key a concept for humor there. But one of my favorite parts is the part where you had to have at least one part with a cute teen babysitter. I mean, you had to do that as a
if you're doing
callback.
something, Halloween movie, you got to have a babysitter.
Yeah,
it's just how it is.
So this girl has the guy that she's taking care of is a real smartass. He's a little smartass. And her kind of sort of boyfriend shows up, and they're of course making out, and they hear a little something upstairs, and it's like, he's probably up and about. And the little kid comes down, petrified. He's like, I saw a man at my door looking at me, and they were all kind of like, nah, dude, you probably saw something. You're probably seeing things or whatever. And she gets ready to go upstairs, and he grabs her. No! Make Dave go first.
Yeah, the kid was great. He brought that extra bit of levity to the film that it needed. I felt like it really was a nice little up point.
But I just like that was just like it was just that little thing of it reminded me of Young Frankenstein, where it's like, wait, it might be dangerous. You go first.
If you haven't watched it, Cool Duder on his channel did a parody spoof along with his review. Mm-hmm. His parodies are fun. He does these little spoof videos occasionally. Not so much after his weight loss, but he has done them a lot in the past, and he did another one, and he did an excellent job with it. It's funny, it's entertaining, and it's great to have that extra review. He did a great take of it. So if you have a chance, go to his channel and check it out.
Right.
Why don't you go ahead with the next the next one we shared?
Okay. Well, I guess the next one, what would that be? Trick or Treat? Is that
I didn't watch that one this time around because I watched it for the prior one.
Well, then which one did we share this time?
Pumpkinhead.
Oh, yeah. Was that this time around, too?
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah. But you'd already watched Trick or Treat then?
Yeah, I'd already watched it.
Anyway, we're talking about the last couple we did for Movies Galore. And
you would have had that, but I wouldn't have.
If you haven't... If you haven't been tuning in, you should. But I had to say, for various reasons, I had to bow out of the Trick or Treat discussion, and I was very disappointed because I actually really liked the movie, and I liked it better on the second viewing. It's really a very interesting film.
It's a great anthology film.
Oh, it is. And Pumpkinhead was interesting too. You watch, or you can get my take on that. My other big horror one for the week. I had a couple of horror ones that I watched, but the other big one was I actually pulled something off that I wasn't planning to do, and if I had planned, I would have failed, but when you don't plan, sometimes things happen. I managed in 4 nights, consecutive nights, I watched all 4 episodes of Scream. All 4 of the movies of Scream. And it was only my second viewing for the fourth movie. But in a lot of ways, the fourth movie is kind of like the new Halloween. It's like they're revisiting it years later, but not 40 years later. It's more like 7 years later. But still, the basic premise, and you've got the main survivor girl is now a survivor, but a very different version. Sidney Prescott goes the I'm going to be a stronger person. Laurie Strode goes the I'm going to be the nut in the woods with a fortress around me.
Well, if you go with the original Halloween series, she kind of goes the stronger person route.
Well, I never saw the sequels with the original one, but I don't care what other people say. I like the Scream movies. I really do. I know they're a little too clever for their own good. They definitely beg suspension of disbelief, but that's part of the point, because most slasher films need a suspension of disbelief.
And the third movie hooks into Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yes, they had a tie-in cameo for a movie that ended up coming out later than anticipated.
Many years later. Still.
But it's still kind of a fun little cameo. And I don't know, the Scream movies are fun. And I will admit, when you're not really trying very hard to break the mystery and just kind of going with the flow, the twists are pretty good. I mean, the fourth one managed to mildly surprise me on my second viewing because I'd totally forgotten how it went.
They're enjoyable films. They're fun watches for the season.
The main thing I don't like is that my main favorite character got killed early in the series, and that bugged me. And my favorite character in the fourth movie got killed in the, So that always happens,
I'm going to save my Amityville viewing for last, and I'll probably try and do them one at a time, depending on how much you have to present, film-wise. But
not much more.
I have because I have a ton of Amityville films I watch. But let's talk Pumpkinhead.
Okay.
I got the first two from Scream Factory, and of course I watched the one for the Movies Galore, then I watched the second, third, and fourth one almost consecutively. And they're not terrible movies. I thought that the second movie was actually my least favorite of the four, because I feel like they turned it on its head a little bit. And it was sort of an origin story for Pumpkinhead, and I'm not sure whether I liked it or not. The other two I didn't mind. I actually kind of liked four. It was a fun movie. It was in the spirit of it, and it's really not that complex. Revenge plot. The last one was Hatfields versus McCoys, so I thought that was interesting.
The little 3-episode miniseries.
Well, no, that was the
Oh,
topic.
you're talking about the plot. I'm sorry, never mind.
Yeah.
No, okay, I was thinking you had moved on to something of a higher quality.
No.
Now, I will say one thing. When we did our Movies Galore discussion of Pumpkinhead, I complained that the character did not really have a pumpkin head. And then in Trick or Treat, the character has a pumpkin head. I thought that was kind of funny.
There you go.
Yes. So, my next one, again, revisiting a franchise, I got to see Pacific Rim Uprising. And it's pretty good. It's not as good as the first Pacific Rim. The first Pacific Rim is very much an underrated film. It really is pretty good. But Uprising has a couple of knocks against it. One is John Boyega is pretty good as an actor. He is definitely kind of this year's hot commodity. But he's no Idris Elba. And he plays Elba's son. And he does a good job. He does a really good job. It's one of his better performances I've seen. But he's no Idris Elba. So that's a small thing. The big thing, this is the thing that pissed me off. Rinko Kikuchi as Mako Mori was one of the biggest awesome things in the first movie. She was awesome. The first movie is very much an explanation, a presentation of why they screwed up big when they did not hire her to be Major Kusanagi in Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Second movie, they screwed up. They took Mako Mori. They gave her a couple of promotions. She's now the one in charge. And she's really good in her limited role. And then they kill her off 25 minutes into the movie. You don't kill off Rinko Kikuchi without making a very good case. And the movie did not make a very good case. Now, I will say this. Charlie Day gets a lot more to do this time around. And he was kind of fun. But it was a good movie. It was, and the new girl, I can't remember her name, but the girl who's like John Boyega's protege, if you will, in the movie, she does a really good job, and I am really looking forward to seeing more from her. Kaylee Spaney, that's her name. I'm very much looking forward to seeing more from her. Scott Eastwood's in it, and he does his usual Scott Eastwood thing. So it was a fun little movie, worth a check, But the first one's better. I'd start with it just for multiple reasons.
So, speaking of movies galore, going back to them, I finished a rewatch of a film that they did this week called Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And if you haven't watched it, what's wrong with you? Go watch our discussion on Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Which I will have seen by the time we do the discussion.
And it is a fun film. It really is. I really enjoyed it. It's a sort of parody horror comedy. And of sort of just this alien invasion plot. But instead of regular aliens, they're all clowns with clown-themed weapons and just funny gadgets. Killer popcorn. It's just in general, it is a fun film. And of course, next week on Movies Galore, we are covering Halloween.
The old school one.
Yes, I will probably not be there because I have other things to do that night. But don't worry, I will be there for our movie releases and updates as per usual on the Tuesday. So, my remaining watched ones, for the most part, well, actually, my remaining watched ones are animated. I presented that bunch of animated films a couple weeks ago, and one of the ones I saw this week was Gumby Movie. Oh, really?
It was interesting.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
It was interesting. That's all I have to say about that.
You kind of have to be a fan of the Gumby series to really get a kick out of the Gumby
It was
movie.
good, goofy fun, but it was a little dry.
Yeah.
And very much aimed at a younger audience.
Well, that was Gumby. I grew up a little bit with Gumby, and it was a neat film for somebody a young age, but... Yeah, I'm going to group these together because if I go these one at a time, it's going to take all day.
Okay.
And I go over these in detail later on. So, I have a lot of Amityville films, and I watched a number of them this week. I'm just going to list them for you. I've got Amityville Prison. Terrible movie, by the way. Don't watch it. Amityville The Awakening. I'm knocking them off my list as I'm talking about them. Amityville Haunting. Amityville Terror. Amityville Theater. Amityville No Escape. Amityville Exorcism. And Amityville Vanishing Point. That's a lot of Amityville.
Yeah.
And why am I doing this, you ask?
Because you're a masochist.
Okay, that... But this coming Monday, this coming Halloween, I am going to introduce you, our fair viewers, to the 19 film collection that I have of Amityville, that I have obsessively collected over the years. And I will be more in detail about what I thought of each one of those. And I have a review coming out for Amityville Exorcism. So... it's going to be fun. But I'm not going to, repeat And you got to see some of those in the actually in the pickups this week. Earlier on, some of the pickups, 4 of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So, I also, another one I added, which I can also say was interesting. I did get to watch my entire high school sinking into the sea. I talked about that briefly before when I said I'll watch the beginning of it.
That's gotta suck for your high school.
It's a weird movie. And it does suck for their high school. It definitely does. Not so much for the survivors, but definitely it's an interesting movie. The director of the film, this was the part that really got tedious. The director of the film also did about 5 short films as a student in animation, as an animation student, and those are included on the Blu-ray.
Well, that's kind of fun.
It's a nice little bonus, except that oh my god, they were tedious. Oh my god, they were. I didn't even bother putting the titles down because they were so tedious, but I watched them, and the movie itself was interesting and pretty fun. I got through it. I didn't like it near as much as the other 2 that I've got, which we'll come up to in a minute.
Okay, so next one on the list is one from my recent, well, not recent pickups, future pickups, which is going to be Frankie in Blunderland. Frankie in Blunderland is a film by the same people who did Die You Zombie Bastards, which is a fun film. And this one also is fun. Poor Frankie can't catch a break. His wife hates him, his friends hate him, everybody hates him. He just got to get a new life. And this is what that's about. Him moving out, trying to rescue his girlfriend from his weird friend, and just general oddities. It actually does present itself well. I enjoyed the film, and I would watch it again.
Cool. Sounds fun. My next one actually was a lot of fun. And I I'm glad I got this one. These last 2 alone more or less made the cost of this purchase worth it, but the other stuff I got, especially Mary and Max and Waltz with Bashir, really made this a good bundle. So I watched the French film Phantom Boy from the people who did A Cat in Paris. And, I think A Cat in Paris was a weak choice for an Oscar nod, but it was a good, fun, solid little film with a very distinctive art style, wonderful music, and just really nice. Phantom Boy had a kick-ass score. It was great. Really, all of these animated films that I watched had great music, but I think Phantom Boy in particular had a phenomenal score. It was basically about a kid who has an unspecified illness, and he discovers that because of the illness, he is able to leave his body for short periods of time. And being a resident of the hospital, he uses this as sort of a minor superhero. He finds people who have lost their bodies because they're near death and leads them back home. And he does this for a cop who got injured at a local dock, and they kind of forces his way into the cop's good graces. And the cop is one of those people, reminded me of the cop in Cat's Eye. The one that the boss never takes seriously. They're always yelling at him, all this stuff. And actually, the cop that is his boss needs to be fired by the end of the movie. Let's just put it that way. And he's friends with a reporter who's played by Audrey Tautou, which I was a pleasant surprise there. I didn't know that. And this really hideous guy is holding the city hostage. This guy ends up in the hospital because he blundered into him, and he knows exactly where he is, but no one will listen to him because his boss is an asshole. Yeah. And so this little kid helps him and helps the reporter, and they bring this guy down. And it's a fun little movie, slightly higher age group than Cat in Paris, but the same basic idea, same art style. And the movie comes with a short film called One Heck of a Plan, which features the dog from Phantom Boy and the cat from A Cat in Paris.
Oh, fun.
And the one unfortunate thing is it doesn't have a French dub. It only has the English audio for the short film, but it does have both options for the film. and I watched it in French. I will watch the English dub, though. It was a fun movie, and I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I wouldn't have probably seen it otherwise, so it's pretty cool.
Actually, speaking of English dubs, and I'm going to get back to the watch in a minute, but I was thinking about it. I did watch the more recent anime Abandon, and they did Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
Ah.
And of course, again, it reiterates, it's one of the things that goes against your original philosophy of it's better to watch it of the language, the original language it was meant to be released in. And the original language was indeed the English release. Matter of fact, when it debuted in Japan, they had to use Japanese subtitles because they had not done the dubbing yet. So, if you're going with the original...
Yeah, but that one has an all-star Japanese cast. So
but again, you can't say it's the original Japanese. It's the original
I know.
English at that point. So, I just thought that was interesting.
Right.
But I'm going to put these two together because I've already talked about them in a previous pickup video, which is Hammerhead and Stupid Teenagers Must Die. Hammerhead was kind of goofy, Dr. Moreau style fun. Stupid Teenagers Must Die was really boring haunted house, and that's a shame because a movie with a title like that really should be better.
Yeah.
It should be campy, good fun. Or it should be slaughtery, bluddery, goody time of fun. So
strategery.
People need to come to these directors and say, look, we need the title of your film. We're going to do a good film attached to it, and we're going to make this into something better. I mean,
oh, geez.
But get some of the people for this. Get David Sterling to present this. Get somebody like, gosh, what was that guy's name I was talking about? Polonia. Get Mark Polonia to direct it. Get people like Wet Movie 1 and Cool Duder to star in it. It will be something great. It would be like this. It'll be like the horror comedy of the ages. But that's just me.
I don't know. What about Clown with a Chainsaw? Okay, so I went to a haunted house in the woods sort of deal over the weekend, and as we were waiting in the ticket line, this guy in a clown suit holding a chainsaw comes rushing by, and I'm like, there's a movie somewhere called Clowns with Chainsaws. Or I like Clown with a Chainsaw because it sounds like Hobo with a Shotgun. Talking about great movie titles. That's a great movie title.
Maybe that's the sequel.
Yes, and incidentally, this is also a great movie title. Great movie title. Both of these, the feature film and the short film. I also, to finish out, I have not yet watched my copy of Waltz with Bashir, but I have watched it years ago. But I did watch the last one in the batch that I had not yet watched. I watched the Korean film Satellite Girl and Milk Cow.
Oh.
That's a great title, too. And it comes with a short film with an even better title, Coffee Vending Machine and Its Sword.
Wait, I swear I have seen that one. There was one that's called like Vending Machine Samurai or something like that.
Yeah, that's something different.
And that's a good one.
Satellite Girl and Milk Cow, basic premise of it is there's a satellite, this Korean satellite that was sent up to take pictures of the peninsula and everything. And she's been up there for years, and it's started to break down and become less effective. And one day she starts working again. I'm saying she because it becomes Satellite Girl, whatever. Starts hearing snippets of music. And it's this 20-something ne'er-do-well in Korea who's playing his own music, and he's really good, but he has not succeeded in life, and no one likes his music. But this satellite somehow is fascinated by this music and comes to Earth, and there's weird goings-on with magic, and there's weird stuff happening, and I'm not going to get into the weirdest of it, but suffice it to say, this dude's heart gets broken. And in this world, at this time, when your heart is broken, you become a farm animal. Okay. Well, you become an animal, and he becomes a milk cow. And when she comes in, she is hit by a blast of magic that turns her into human, quote unquote. You know, she still has all the trappings of a satellite, you know, or can. And they come into, become friends-ish with a fairy. He calls himself a fairy. He's a sorcerer of sorts, who has somehow been turned into a roll of toilet paper.
Okay.
It's a weird movie. But it's really fun, and it's really good, and it has a lot to say about loneliness and connection and all that stuff. And, of course, my brother that has less than glowing views of anime managed to arrive while I was watching it and decided to watch the entirety of Coffee Vending Machine and Its Sword. I don't think that went well for his opinion. That's a really weird one. That one has to do with a samurai who says, in my next life I want to come back with steel sides or something like that. So he comes back as a coffee vending machine. But he can become human for short periods of time and continues to fight evil in this phase and makes friends with this very lonely woman. And it's a lot of the same themes, but just as weird. But decent.
Yeah, it's a cat. Oh, well,
Yeah,
in case.
whatever. But anyway, so as far as my new and finished viewing, or new and started viewing, that ends the list. I have 2 more to say as far as finished. So you can do more, or what have you?
I got plenty more.
Okay.
But you got 2 more that you can do, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got Worst Witch Season 2. I finished that one. Okay. I really do love this series. It is a fun series. The more and more I watch this, the more and more I think to myself, yeah, J.K. Rowling, you tried to sue them for ripping you off when you ripped them off. Their potions mistress is Snape.
Really?
Yes. It really is. I mean, you can look at this and you say, oh my gosh, this is Harry Potter. It really is. And, but that's okay. It is a good series.
Harry Potter had better special effects.
Yeah, well. But still, Worst Witch is a great series. Has fun. It's very fun. It can be viewed by many ages. And, in general, if you liked Harry Potter series, you would like this. It comes up on the heels of the first year, where they had to fight the principal's evil sister, and in order to keep the school. And the second series has to do with one of the main characters having lost their powers. The Worst Witch actually becomes somewhat competent because she does a lot of practicing and studying. So she's not as incompetent with her magic as she is in the first season, but she is still very accident-prone, and they focus a lot on this new trio of first years as they go back and forth. It is a very fun series. You should check it out if you haven't. Again, Netflix, excellent platform.
Yeah.
All right.
So, the one that I finished viewing, well, it's not that hard because I only had 2 episodes left, was Le Portrait de Petit Cosette, which is a weird little series.
Very strange.
Very strange. Very pretty. They really went all in on the animation, and they did a really good job with it. It has wonderfully creepy use of music, especially I love the end theme that they had. It's basically the gist of it, if I understand correctly, because it was not an easy one to fully understand. Basically, you got this girl who, way back in the day, was this beautiful young courtesan, or whatever, noble, I guess would be the best way to put it, who was not very old at all, and this guy came in to paint portraits of her and ended up falling obsessively in love with her, and at some point did what obsessive people sometimes do and says, if you can't have her, or if I can't have her, no one can have her, and kills her and all this stupid stuff. And so, flash forward, 2-3 centuries later, something like that, this dude who works in an antique shop stumbles across some of the stuff that had been in her manor. Had a lot of it, actually. He finds her portrait, but he also, I think, starts seeing visions of her because of a wine glass, actually. He starts seeing visions of this girl.
Very surreal.
Very surreal. And it comes to find out that she, in after a fashion, is possessing a lot of these things. And he is the reincarnation of the guy that killed her. And there's a really, really cool, neat little twist at the end, and I don't want to get into it in case you ever do want to watch it.
It's not a long
But
series.
it's... Until I saw that twist, I was kind of like, the hell am I watching? The twist kind of brought it all together and made it interesting to me.
Get together. Get
it together, yes. But it's a neat show. It's worth a watch. It's easy enough to get cheap. I think Sentai still has it. And they sell it pretty cheaply whenever they do sales. So it's worth picking up. Yeah.
Well, I watched another Netflix series, and that is Hilda.
Okay.
I really did like this series. It is, if you like Gravity Falls, you'll like Hilda. Hilda is like a British type series.
Yeah.
And it follows Hilda. She lives in this countryside, and trolls and elves and fairies and magic, it's all commonplace.
Oh my.
And they're living alongside. And eventually they end up getting their house destroyed by a giant, so they have to move to the big city. So she's trying to adapt to city life with these two other friends who are like nature scouts. So she joins the nature scouts, and they have adventures together. It's very nice. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek comedy in it, and a lot of really cool innocence. And I really enjoyed the series. The ending special kind of got me a little... I mean, not special. The last couple episodes kind of got me a little bit meh with the series. I wasn't quite happy with that, but they ended it well. They wrapped it up. That's fun.
Okay.
Check it out.
Check it out. Yes. And the last one I'm going to mention is the one that I finished reading actually very early on in this 2-week period, because it was a quick read, was Lois Lowry's Gathering Blue, which is the follow-up to The Giver. There is what's called the Giver Quartet. I still have to read Messenger and Sun. But I will say this. I think once I read them all, I'll probably know how the pieces fit together. But Gathering Blue, I went into it not knowing what relationship it would exactly have to The Giver, and I still don't know. I think it's a prequel set well in advance, because color is a major part of this story. In fact, it's called Gathering Blue for a reason. The main character works with threads and dyes and tapestries, and blue is an extreme rarity in the community she comes from. So that is why, where the title comes from. But The Giver took place generations after an event called Sameness, where they lost color. In fact, that was what the main character Jonas starts seeing color and doesn't know what it is until it's explained to him. That's kind of... So my guess is that this one is one that takes place well before. We'll find out when I get to the other two where they lie, but I'm waiting until I finish it to even look into them. I'll probably read one of them after I finish it and then move on to, kind of space them out a little bit. But, it was a good little book, just like The Giver. It's a quick read. They're really quick reads. So, worth looking into.
Well, I have 4 other items. I'm going to go through a couple of them pretty quickly. Futurama, I finished it, and I like the ending. It wraps it up pretty well.
Cool.
And it's kind of good. It got a new life after it was canceled. I always found it weird, because when Futurama was on, it was always cut off by the football game. Because whenever the football game would go into overtime, you would run into Futurama. So if you wanted to watch the episode, you had to wait till they re-aired.
Yeah.
Usually after football season.
Yeah.
So And people were wondering, why aren't people watching it? Well, I wonder.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a football fan, then obviously it's a nice thing to stick around for. But if you're not, how are you going to know when it starts?
And who wants to watch, like, part of an episode?
Yeah.
It's just sad, but they really did a good job. I think they did better with Family Guy when they came back, which, of course, Family Guy has just been kind of
They did better
going
with Family
on.
Guy?
No, I think they did better than Family Guy.
Yeah.
And they did a great job of tying it up at the end.
Cool.
I caught up to Skip Beat.
Good deal.
So I've read all 41 volumes
Actually
released in the
read
United
beyond
States.
What I've read, I guess.
And the 41st is still yet to be in my pickup video. But it's good. I've been enjoying the recent thing. I mean, she's trying out for a new part. And in the more recent series, a samurai role. And so she's doing something that's kind of outside of her wheelhouse.
Right.
For once, not a bully character. And we still haven't gotten to whether she gets the part yet, so I'm very much looking forward to Volume 42.
So am I remembering correctly that Moko is playing someone who's her rival in the movie?
She's
right?
trying out for someone who's going to be her rival,
Yes.
and that's the main character's part.
And
yeah.
Kyoko's really upset about that because she's like so excited. I can work with Moko. Oh wait, we're rivals.
And
Oh.
Ren is playing one of the major characters in that as
Yeah,
well.
of course.
So it'll bring everybody together. I'm pretty sure that all of them are going to get the parts so that they can work together. It's too easy to say, oh, they're all together for her to fail. They have had her fail before.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but it's where it's kind of cool because I no longer I can have that anticipation.
Yep.
I beat Silent Hill 2.
Ooh.
So finally, around Halloween season, I'm done with 2 games out of the series. And you'll see that later. I've got a review set for next week. So I hope you all enjoy that lovely review when I'm finished with filming it anyway. And one I would like to talk a little bit about is something also for the season, is I finally finished the 6-episode season 1 of Lore.
Yeah.
I started season 2 because they just released that yesterday. And Lore, they take a different approach with season 2, but season 1 is more of a mixture of historical writing with reenactment. And some of them are really good, some of them are not so good. The creepy doll one they did at the end about it was about the guy who had the sailor doll, and it's pretty well known. It's the doll that's still sitting in the Keys, like they have that haunted and cursed item museum over in the Florida Keys, which I thought to myself, it's a bad place for one. You get a hurricane goes through there, all of those horror things are released into the community. But it's supposedly, if you don't ask the doll's permission before taking its picture, you will have bad things happen to you.
Bad things.
I mean, people have died. And it's just really creepy. That's all about the watched. I'm just going to touch on some of these basic things, some news for the channel. Of course, we have our top 15 films and media that have scared us.
Yeah.
Or at least left us with a sense of unease. We have an interesting take on that. That's coming out this coming Monday. And we have I have the Amityville collection that's going to be coming out on Halloween. I have a film review and a game review also coming out that week, along with our regular activities. All this stuff, some of it has yet to be filmed, some of it has been finished, some of it's still in the editing stages, but it will all be out, I assure you. But 2 things about what's coming out, and then I'll ask you if you have anything that you see is coming out recently that's not in the movie line.
Right.
But game-wise, Red Dead Redemption 2, that's huge. That's releasing very shortly. And I know everybody's excited about that. I have yet to play any game in the series. This is the 3rd one in the series, theoretically.
Right.
Red Dead Revolver was just a basic shooter. based off the arcade game. Then Red Dead Redemption was this big open world thing, and now Rockstar, which, you know, Grand Theft Auto is the other series they were known for, is releasing this next cowboy experience.
Mm-hmm.
And one that I know that you would be interested in is the complete Summer Wars manga is being released in a big book in the near future.
Nice.
So, I guess, do you have anything in releases that that you have that's majorly interesting, that's music, games, or books?
Probably not so much with the releases. I've got, I was just looking up a movie release, like a theatrical release, but...
anything fun? I haven't kept up with them.
I have a couple of announcements for theatrical releases, and that's what I'll mention. One is that G-Kids has licensed Studio Punish's follow-up to Mary and the Witch's Flower, and it's called Modest Heroes, and it's an anthology. And I know Hiromasa Yonebayashi, the director of Mary and the Witch's Flower, does one of the segments. I think there's 3 total. And it's set for a January release here in the States. So that's going to be something that will probably come here, and we can look forward to that. The one I was looking up, I am officially ticked. I know that Angelica Film Center is the one that gets all the anime, and they're getting this one, but they've only listing one showtime, 11/4 at 11 a.m.
Woo!
Jesus. Okay. But anyway, Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions, Take On Me, the movie for that particular franchise, is apparently getting 2 showings in Virginia. One in Fairfax and one in Winchester.
I ain't going to drive that long.
No, dang it. That's freaking annoying.
I've got it on pre-order.
Yeah, but I wanted to see it in theaters. But I haven't seen the series yet, so maybe it's just as well.
Are you watching Spirited Away? I believe that's this weekend.
I'd like to. I don't think I'll get to. But, yeah, so those are my main release news for theatrical stuff. There's some other, like, announcements on things that are being worked on, but,
and we just go back and forth.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of news stories. Okay. And I'll be curious as to your take on this, because, of course, Funimation and Crunchyroll are ending their partnership.
Yep.
I'm not sure what that means, because I don't know some of the titles aren't going to be on one, and some of them aren't going to be on the other. But I don't know what is leaving what. Because I'm debating whether I need to stop Crunchyroll, because I use Crunchyroll for 3 series. My catch-up of Reborn, but I can eventually buy that. That's now released, and I eventually will. Also, to keep up with My Hero Academia, Funimation, and to keep up with, Food Wars is not. So theoretically, if they can keep My Hero Academia, I will probably continue with Crunchyroll.
Well, of course, you can also watch that one on Hulu.
Yeah, but in delay.
Yeah. But at any rate, my understanding of it, and a lot of this is still up in the air, my understanding is that the titles that Funimation has dubbed, they are taking the dubs back. But apparently Crunchyroll might still be allowed to do the sub versions. They're apparently going to still stream most of the original content.
Because they did before they were allowed to do it before the partnership. So hopefully it'll be. Cause
we'll see. Well, now my understanding is that the reasoning for this is that Sony owns Funimation now, and so before Funimation was an independent actor, right?
Yeah.
So I could see Sony being little bitches, and I could be wrong, but that's what I'm guessing. So this is just an interesting little bit of news I heard that I'm intrigued by. Apparently, the people behind the British program Sherlock, with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, are doing a mini-series based on Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think it's a 3-part series. I could see that being pretty good.
That'd be fun.
I'm looking forward to that.
Speaking of things like that, apparently Romero might continue to make movies beyond the grave.
Seems appropriate.
Because they apparently discovered dozens of scripts that he had written in his vaults, I guess.
He was a workaholic, wasn't he?
Yeah, so that's a lot of things. You could see Romero films coming out long after his death.
Wow.
And that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of eerie, but kind of cool.
Well, it is suiting.
Yeah. On the less pleasant news front, Netflix abruptly announced the cancellations of 2 Marvel properties last week. They canceled Iron Fist, and then a few days later, apparently in the middle of the season 3 debut for Daredevil, they announced that Luke Cage was also getting the axe. And a lot of people felt like they made a bigger deal about Iron Fist and kind of tried to sneak the other one by them. But I don't know what this means. Does it means Disney is dicking around too much with what they're allowed to do with these?
Iron Fist kind of performed poorly.
Well,
so.
that too. But Netflix is well known for hiding their viewership numbers.
Yeah.
So it could be that both of them underperformed, or it could be that they both did very well and they just couldn't reach an agreement with Disney for the next season. So
Disney
we'll
is trying to keep their cards to themselves.
Right.
Well, James Gunn, of course, most of you know this already.
Speaking of trying to make an agreement with Disney,
he is now in talks. Actually, it's no longer
Yes.
talks because he's writing and directing Suicide Squad 2.
Nice.
I was in talks when I originally wrote this down.
Nice.
Though, the Jared Leto Joker is not going to appear. Jared Leto apparently is in a feud with James Gunn. He actually publicly called him a pedophile. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so I guess that we're done with Jared Leto Joker.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, not many people liked his Joker. We're going to be curious how the other Joker is going to be.
Again, not to knock Jared Leto. He is a very talented actor. But his take on the Joker just wasn't there. It just wasn't great.
There's a lot of rumors of just a total shake-up for it, kind of a redo, which would be a great thing. It needs a redo. And I really think James Gunn is the one to do it because it really is the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Or it can be.
It could be.
And there's a lot to work with. I really do think Margot Robbie, of course, should stay as Harley Quinn. She was excellent with that.
I just got this great image of her going through an entire scene just saying, "I'm Groot." That would be entirely in character for Harley. Okay, also somewhat unfortunate news, but entertainment related. Selma Blair, star of Hellboy and some other really good stuff, has announced that she has MS. That's rather unfortunate, but definitely wishing her well and hope that, she manages it reasonably well, and yeah.
Well, we're in Mental Health Month, by the way. Oddly enough, strange that they decided to choose October for that.
Strangely fitting.
But some celebrity news on a higher note. Chance the Rapper pledged $1 million to mental health. And Lady Gaga actually penned a piece on suicide and the stigma of living with mental illness. That was one of the things that I had an issue with Halloween. And I do have this with a lot of these films, which is weird because I'm still fascinated by it. Though I'm fascinated by the archaic way that they do mental health treatment in the past. It is much better in the future, but they're still projecting it like it's in the past. And they really do negatively impact a lot of this. I mean, they really give a negative stereotypical view of your person in the hospital. And that does bother me a bit. I also felt like I wasn't necessarily offended, but I felt like there would be a lot of people who would have been offended by two of the characters going to a costume party, cross-dressing, just to make it funny, because, again, that might be insulting to people who really are cross-dressing because they feel that they are the other gender. Again, I'm surprised that there isn't.
Were they doing it to be funny or more creative? I got the impression she was trying to be creative. The boyfriend, he was a little bit of a jerk, so I don't know.
I mean, it's like the stuff they used to do in the old days, powder puff and all that.
Right.
But again, I'm surprised that's not coming up with that.
So, just a couple things that you just triggered with your comments just then that I didn't actually have written down. And one of these is not really news, just so much as something that amused me last night. Really did amuse me. You're talking about Lady Gaga. I really need to go see A Star Is Born. I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Sam Elliott was in it. But last night I was just watching random stuff on YouTube, and I found a clip from the Colbert Report where they were talking to Sam Elliott. And he kept going on about his voice. Because, I mean, let's face it, Sam Elliott has a pretty awesome voice. And at the end, he got him to read excerpts from Poker Face and Bad Romance in his voice. And I was like, oh my god, this is so perfect. I love it.
Actually, you've read The Dark Tower.
Yeah.
The leader, Jonas, of the Big Coffin Hunters, I pictured him as Sam Elliott.
Oh, that could be pretty cool, actually.
I think he's a bit old for the part now,
but
still he would have been a great...
If they did an animated version, he'd be great. And the other thing, you were talking about mental health and whatever, I was going to touch on this last week, and we didn't end up doing a vlog, and I forgot about it until just now. In the interest of not going super political, I won't comment too much on Kanye's descent on the White House.
He walked back his negative comments towards George Bush, though.
Okay. But there was a pretty big thing that went down last week where they actually signed a law that would allow older material to continue to collect royalties for the people that were actually deserve some royalties. So I kind of like that. I don't really think that's a bad law necessarily. But I guess because, well, who's more with it than Kanye, I guess, whatever. They met with, Trump met with Kanye, which is...
That was crazy.
Unfortunate on so many levels. It did yield a pretty good SNL sketch. But the funny thing about that was, I don't remember what it was, some talk show was going to have Kanye West come on to talk about mental illness.
Okay.
And I mean, he's an expert on certain aspects of mental illness. He may not realize it. He probably doesn't realize it. But they asked him not to appear because of the whole thing with Trump.
Well,
which I found appropriate. But I was like, they asked Kanye West for his opinions on what?
Well, he's obviously in a manic state. I worry about what's going to happen when he comes down off of that state because it can be very serious. I mean, you see somebody acting in that manner, you really need to watch them and be careful because when you go up like that, a down is not too far away.
I really like to rag on Kanye. I really do. I do think he's the one man alive with a bigger ego than Trump, but I do hope he has a good support system.
Yeah,
I really do, because
he's
going
to need it, and I really send my best to him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you saw, you heard about what happened afterwards. So when he went to the Apple store, he got up on like one of the desks and started yelling out stuff.
So
he was, like I say, he's in a manic phase.
I don't know.
Politics or not, I really do hope that he stabilizes.
Yeah.
Fatima Ali from Top Chef has declared she has 1 year left to live.
Really?
Yep. I don't know why, but she does have 1 year left to live. So that's a real brief negative tone.
Yeah. I kind of hope that works better for her.
But let me run up with a political one.
Okay.
Really, I guess following Kanye. We've heard about Taylor Swift doing the Get Out the Vote, but Sam Jackson is also in districts trying to get people out to vote, and it is important.
Yeah.
I don't care what political thing. You can be like, Trump is the greatest person in the world. I think that he should get elected. But if you don't vote, you're not helping your cause.
Right.
Same thing for if you don't want him in there. If you don't vote, you're not helping your cause. Check your registration. Make sure it's active. Go vote. It's coming up 2 weeks.
And please, for the love of God, please don't believe the people who are trying to claim that the system is full of fraud, and you can't. Part of this. Allow me one moment to proselytize here.
Well, good. I can get some.
A big part of it. Well, I mean, literally 1 moment. A big part of this country is the ability to vote, and if we can't trust it, so trust it. Trust the process. Participate and trust in it. So yeah. Anyway, on a better note, because this brought a smile to my face because it's so many notes of weird, but it could be great.
Yeah.
You may have seen this. I don't know. I'm annoyed that Netflix is getting so much of this. I may have to get Netflix. But fresh off of his Best Picture win, Guillermo del Toro has had a project that apparently is a passion project for him, greenlit by Netflix. He is planning to make a stop-motion musical version of Pinocchio.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Yes.
That's gonna be pretty cool.
That could be interesting. It could be very interesting.
Creepy.
Yes, I don't think George's going to watch it.
But the original one is creepy.
Yeah, it is. But,
and talking about anime in theaters, My Hero Academia, Two Heroes, actually made the top 10 domestic anime releases ever.
Yeah.
This just shows you there is a market for this. If you give it time. Now look at this. This is limited release. This is like one showing a day.
Yeah.
Think of what you could make.
Did you get the actual figure there?
I didn't get the figure because it was still changing at the time. Okay. But the fact is, imagine what could be made if you did a real, legit release for this stuff. Treat it like a real movie. It's not just a kid's thing.
I'm a real movie.
I know. But that's what the thing. They don't consider them real movies.
Yeah, which is stupid.
Especially the Academy.
Yeah. So, My Hero Academia, IMDb listed as the movie.
The movie.
They have an 8.3 rating.
You have something else on?
No, that was really all I had.
Well, I got some fun stuff.
Okay, as of October 9, it gives a 5,754,000.
That's pretty good for something that's a strangled release.
Yeah, it is.
The Connors debuted.
Yeah, heard about that.
And I should have seen it, but it debuted okay. It was less than Roseanne's debut, but I mean, in truth, I don't know. I'm still debating about it. I'm hoping that the cast does, because they don't deserve that. But at the same time, I'm going to go out on a limb here, even though I don't agree with the viewpoints. I do feel like exiting her out of the show entirely was not quite fair. I think that we overreact a lot to things. People say stupid stuff all the time.
Yeah.
You slap them on the wrist, and you move on.
Not to mention the idea of her ODing. I've said before, I've got to see the episode and see if they did it right. If they did it poorly, then that's just
well, that's the other thing. Is it's such a serious thing, and they're billing this as a big, hilarious comedy, and that's just, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like she kind of got a raw deal on that. Though she really needs to make sure she gets some help for those weird outbursts. Maybe find an alternative to Ambien. Sorry, that's just... You don't need to be making these outbursts. Put the Alex Jones down. George Lopez gets in a fight with a Trump supporter in a restaurant. I don't know how it turned out, but I just thought that was entertaining.
Okay.
But I'm sure George Lopez could, hold his own in a fist fight with a Trump supporter, because it did get physical.
What was the one I saw about that? Oh, that was apparently Anthony Kiedis of Red Hot Chili Peppers fame got kicked out of a sports game for getting involved in a fight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Carol Spinney, I don't know why you hadn't talked about this. He's retiring from Sesame Street. He plays Big Bird.
Wow, really?
So
I missed
50 years.
That's a good long time.
So 50 years he's retiring. That is a huge milestone. They filmed the last episode. It's just of him.
Wow.
So that's big shoes to fill. I wonder who they're going to get to take over Big Bird. Maybe maybe Sam Jackson.
Well, he is in everything.
The last three have to do with the Me Too movement. First one is about Weinstein.
Oh.
There seems to be some issues with this prosecution because the detective is urging victims to delete all call history in order to try and paint him in a worse light. Now, first off, this is a man that should have enough evidence against him that you do not need to do this.
Yeah.
All you are doing by trying to do this is, if you get caught, like they did, you're putting this in doubt, and you're keeping this man from seeing justice because you are overreaching.
Yeah.
Stop doing this.
Who's saying that?
No, this was the prosecution. They had
That's
to
what I'm
admit this.
saying. Who was saying that?
I got this on one of the news articles. This was a while back, because Huffington, I think, was who presented it. But that's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Kobe Bryant.
Oh yeah.
You remember he had that whole
Yeah.
alleged assault thing, but that was dropped.
Yeah.
But he's being removed as his judge position from an animated festival due to the accusation in 2003.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, I guess the thing is, he was never found guilty, other than in the court of public opinion. And his little short film still won the Oscar. But, I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, okay, fine. There's another part of me that's like, you waiting this long?
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to get on your high horse and say you shouldn't do anything, why didn't you do it back in 2003?
Mm-hmm.
And just say, okay, you're out of basketball, you're off of everything, goodbye. Instead, we wait this long before supposed justice takes place.
Mm-hmm.
And one more involving Javier Bardem
Oh.
and Woody Allen. He publicly said, this is a lynching. You have no proof of anything.
Who said this?
Javier Bardem.
Oh. So he's saying this about Woody Allen?
Yeah, basically that this whole thing with Woody Allen is a public lynching.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Woody Allen, if you need somebody to act in your films, call me. I will be available anytime. Because he's standing up for him. And there's several people who do stand up for the man. And again, I'm waiting for them to bring some actual reasonable charges against him. If he is the monster they say he is, there should be no problem finding countless people to come forward. The man has been working for years and years and years.
I'm not sure about countless people, but the thing is, he has been working for years and years and years, and has generally had a very stellar reputation as far as his workplace environment.
Yeah.
And again, there's the doubt of,
Well, that's the thing. Some of the children paint him as a great person. Some of them don't, and
so
it's split.
It's unfortunate, and we may never have an answer there. But again, in a world where accusations like this don't in any way affect certain people, it seems very unfortunate the effect they're having on certain other people.
They put him in that painting of having Trump with all the sex offenders, with Bill Cosby and Louis C.K. They said, well, the one person that should be removed from that is Louis C.K. because he's not as bad. But it's like, No.
From
He's
what I
actually
hear-
admitted to doing this stuff.
He is well, see, that's the thing. He has taken responsibility
Yes.
in a way.
In a way.
He did not take as enough.
You see where Sarah Silverman actually said that she gave permission for him to do his business in front of her.
Well, I'm not going to say that.
God.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Oh,
But I feel like he did a better job of trying to acknowledge and own up than most people did.
Yeah.
I don't think he fully succeeded, but I felt like he tried. But the things he was accused of and has admitted to, some of them,
Yeah, well.
he probably could use some time to think about it. But at any rate,
Yeah,
I guess that's all
gone
I
a
got.
while, so we need to wrap
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
This has been a late night, and we are going to wrap up our vlogcast for the evening. I hope you all enjoyed this trip over through Entertainment Lane.
Yeah.
And we will see you later on. And, of course, wish you a happy Halloween. We will see you again next week for our Halloween goodies.
Yeah.
And be sure to stay tuned, of course, watching Movies Galore. So we will see you. Goodbye.